weird. I gotta remember the camera's in front of me now.
Yeah, but yeah, that's you don't
It's
try and make like eye contact. You know, what's the thing about like these live streams is like I feel like I'm talking to the audience and then I feel like I'm talking to you
but you're looking at the camera, the
or
barrel
I'm
of the
looking at the
camera.
screen,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know what
yeah.
I
And then
mean?
every time I
It's
look at the screen, I'm looking down, but like you're up there, but you're not down here, and they're like, I don't know.
or you can still see like someone else shared a photo of their like great aunt
Uh
on
huh.
social media, a friend of mine, and it's like, "Oh, you were both trying to make eye contact with yourselves on the phone screen because neither of them are looking at the camera." Hey, everybody, welcome to a special episode of the Best of Our Week. We're going a little early, 7 p.m. ish. We kind of got started a little
Very
later than
much
we wanted
ish.
to.
Yeah, 10 p.m.
But
here, and we're doing it coast
yeah,
to coast. Actually, we're doing a coast to coast show.
yeah,
We're
we
taking
are,
it on the
we
road.
in between us is basically every other American
Every other
in
day.
North America. So basically, we represent the entire spectrum of the population of North America.
Welcome to the club. Thank you very much. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you guys have been keeping it real with us on this roller coaster that is
But
called tech.
I mean, if you might have noticed if you're watching the live stream, or even if you're listening to the audio version of this podcast, TK might look and sound a little different because he is on location with
Yes.
our incredible travel budget here on the Best of Our Week podcast. We've sent TK out to go cover the
I've
news.
been ruining the travel budget. There's just no budget left for anybody else.
I
Every
never
time
get
I go,
to.
so like, yeah, we got to talk to our buddies over at Yolanzi to hook us up with a little bit of good stuff.
Right?
Yeah, the Photo Pro, been using the mount, as you
It's
know.
good, right?
Got it recommended by my buddy, and I bought it right away. Um,
That tripod is rocking my socks. We don't need to do a third episode of the podcast talking about how great that tripod is, but if you go back and catch our last two,
let me
you'll
see.
see
Hold
what
on.
we
Let me
mean.
see. Well, maybe a little
Um,
bit of diffusing on that light will help a little bit because I am
but
glowing. Okay, this is a
oh
little
no,
better.
I mean, but and also you're brightly lit because you're glowing over how much amazing news you've been able to cover out on location because
Dude,
you've got the full scoop. You're going to be doing all the heavy lifting for this week's episode. I'm going to be just going like, "Wow, that sounds awesome,"
maybe I should get some
because you've been
water.
playing with
Yeah, yeah,
some
yeah.
fancy new Motorolas.
Dude, Motorola, like, if there was a floodgate to be opened, it's. I'll be honest with you guys. Okay, so the cat's out of the bag. Obviously, you saw the news, the Moto Razr, the Moto Razr. So there's two devices that were announced, right?
This is what you need to explain to me because I caught like one video and I was like, "Wait a minute, are there like four different phones launching?" Because
So
the naming convention is a little
typically, yeah. So
unusual.
typically that's what happens, right? So typically what will happen is Moto releases a device, and every market gets a special flavor of it. The reason I say this, our buddy Jermaine, concept creator, so he just got the Razer Edge 40, which essentially is the same phone, but slightly different variation on the specification. So in the European market, their charging speed is faster, but for the rest of the actual overall experience and look, it looks exactly the same. This is the Moto Edge Plus 2023. So back in Chicago, when we had an opportunity to go sit down and talk to Moto, they teased us. They teased us about what's coming up, and that essentially is like what we heard now. There is two versions, two SKUs for this phone, and it is just called different, but it's the exact same phone across all markets. It's the Moto Razr, just Razr. Sorry, the Motorola Razr, and then there's the Motorola Razr Plus. That's the US version. In Europe and
Hmm.
outside in other countries, it's called the Moto Razr 40, 40, and that's the standard model, and the Moto Razr 40 Ultra, which is the plus in our market. So there's
So,
really just two phones.
but four different names to describe two different phones, and at some point, I really wish they would just pick a name and make
I
it
feel
the
like
international name.
yeah, like stick. I don't know why there needs to be the 40 number. I don't know. It's pure. I'm gonna say it's pure ignorance on my side. I'm assuming there is some type of a lineage that they continue with the numbering
Oh yeah,
there
no, I mean
because they had the
it's
30
their
before.
international generational. I mean, from Moto 30 to Moto 40. I think you run into trouble because now you know you can only really have 10 models of phone before you need to rename it anyway. Because no one ever
Mhm.
like you make it to like 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. Okay, well, we got to pick a new name. We don't want to do 100 because we've already done hundreds for cheaper phones. So
They're,
it's so frustrating.
and they may
when
end
you
up
don't just
reaching
pick
that
a
number at
name.
some point. But the thing
Oh,
about
they
it, I was
will.
surprised we didn't find out till. I'm freezing, or am I still working?
No, you're
Am I still
good.
part of? Yeah. Okay, I just realized I had some of my dinner still showing up.
Delicious.
The surprising part that is this was a global launch. It wasn't a staggered launch. It was launching at the same time everywhere. Although, actually, from what I heard, is in Europe you're able to buy it today, like it's available
Oh,
to
wow.
purchase. The 40 and the 40 Ultra are available to purchase, and the so unfortunately I'll say this. I was hoping to bring a unit back with me. I don't have a unit. This is the one of the only limitations. So this is the Razr Plus, their flagship, as they would say, when it comes down to as a foldable technology that they have. They don't have a fold; they have a flip. And we've had Razrs in the past. The last Razr we had was a Verizon exclusive, and from what I understand, that this is not going to be. It's going to be an unlocked, and some carriers will carry it. There's no ultra wideband availability on this. This is purely sub 6 and mid band. So mid band
Well,
and
and
low
first,
bands 5G.
just to describe what we're looking at, what we're talking about, the
Yeah.
Moto Razrs are continuing on in the tradition of the original Moto Razr being a flip phone,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
so this is a Z Flip style foldable phone,
Very much so.
where
Yeah, we lost
it
the
looks like
design changed quite a bit. It literally
yeah.
looks like a Z Flip cousin almost.
I just want to point this out that in their stock photo, there's this person with fingernails holding the razor, and those are filthy fingernails. Whoever is responsible at Motorola for doing those press photos,
Yes.
they need to have a conversation with their photographer and their models, because that's ghastly. Because
Yeah.
it looks like dirty fingernail, and then also maybe a bit of a fungal infection, and that's not exactly what you want to show off the new Razr. So I'm very disappointed in that. But the phone itself looks pretty cool.
Okay, now that
So
you
instead
mention
of
it, that
being
other nail at the top right too, that's about the same boat. Yeah, sorry.
see, it's pretty gross. So you know
Yeah.
what this might have been? I think this might have been glitter, but it's also just really ganky looking when you like compress the photo and you edit the photo and you put it up on a website. So this is a 6.9 inch. What is
160,
the
165
but what's the
hertz.
aspect ratio? Because it looks really cinema wide. Like it looks really skinny.
It's I want to say it's 21 by 9. It's not 21, it's 20 by 9, but I can pull up the
So
spec
it's,
sheet.
I mean, it's close to like an Xperia, but it's not quite as skinny.
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
it's very much like seriously, it's very much like a flip when it comes down to the form factor. Like you really would definitely think it's a flip. There's no question about
sure.
that. But let me hold on. I have the
So
I happen to have the spec sheet.
yeah, you
Surprise,
dig that up. I'm looking at the website. So 165 hertz refresh rate display, HDR10 plus. It's got a very what do they call this? A creaseless screen. So it's got a very
Almost.
aggressive sort of like almost needle threading the eye of a needle kind of
Exactly.
internal housing to prevent the crease from looking too distinct. And then it's got a really large external screen for when you've got it folded in half.
So that's
I've always got
the
to ask.
3.6 POLED display on the outside. That's what we
I've
got
always
there.
got to ask because I feel like the Z Flip and
It's
one
a
of the
22
reasons
by
why
9, by the way. Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, found it.
Wow. Okay, so it is skinnier than
Yeah.
than an Xperia. So one of the things I've always appreciated on the Z Flip, and I kind of wish we would play with this idea a little more directly, is something like a foldable phone to me is more like a pocket smartwatch. You know, you have a watch that you wear on a wrist, then you have a pocket watch that sits
Yeah.
in your pocket. You pull it out and you check the time. Having that little ticker display is a shortcut.
Yeah.
You really have to think, do I want to open my phone to deal with this notification that I just got? But you
Yeah,
have
yeah,
the
yeah.
quick at-a-glance screen. What was your experience kind of messing around with that, with the new displays and the new features for that outside screen?
So specifically speaking because you're pushing on that one, I feel like the biggest thing that will come out at you this is two things. It's a very big departure from what we've seen before with other Razrs from Motorola. The big thing that we have here is that there's a version that has a much bigger display. It's almost the entire back of the phone, or at least the top half of the phone. And the beautiful thing about it is it's running, although I'm not sure what we could use it for, but it's running at 144 hertz. Because in case you ever want to get into that whole, UFO test. I appreciate Moto's approach to, and excuse my French, you could just do, like F it, just do whatever you want kind of a thing. This is very much what Moto's bringing into this experience, which is why I'm so excited about it. The external display on the Razr Plus, so there's basically the Plus and the Standard. The Standard is very much a ticker display. It is a small, like I think it was like a 1.6 inch. It's almost like a fitness tracker size display sitting on the back, and you're able to scroll through, music player, a little bit of calendar information, notification, very simple things. And that one runs basically just obviously at 60 hertz, very small, tiny display. But the Razr Plus, every app on your phone can run on that display. Every app.
Nice.
There's a keyboard in there, an actual keyboard you could use. You can extend the display to be either slightly, like in the image that you see there on the left for our listeners on the audio. We have a picture of the Plus model facing us
TK,
forward.
I looked up the software and it doesn't even have like flex mode. So it's not as gooder as another foldable that does have flex mode. So
It has ready for, baby. That other flip has nothing on that. It has ready for. It's wireless ready for, but it has ready for. So
I just want to throw out the facetious joke because that's just a name for being able to use your phone when it's bent in half, right? It's like saying Androids can't share files with AirDrop. And you're like, yeah, we've got every other wireless sharing protocol that we'd want to use.
Yeah,
That's just a name for sending files wirelessly. And to me, I feel like what Moto is doing here is trying to blur the lines between needing a dedicated mode to interact with a function on your phone when the hinge is bent partially, to then just saying anything you want to do on the phone in this form factor you can do on the phone from the front screen or from the inside screen.
that's the big, and I was talking to one of their executives, and he actually did a week-long test of using only the external display, not once opening it up.
Nice.
So it is absolutely like the things that I feel like what they're doing here and what they're bringing in. This is obviously a competition for, in the US market at least, it's a direct competition for the Z Flip 4. We don't have the Z Flip 5 yet. We don't have the specification. There's rumors going on that it will be another big, large display. But the fact that Moto came in with this at 1,000, still hitting the price point that we've seen in the past, but also giving an option that is cheaper. Now, the weird thing is they didn't officially launch the smaller Razr. They just kind of teased us, and there was, like, in the hands-on experience, we got to see both devices. But tonight, like, I just literally came from the official launch of the event, the launch event of the device, where they had a little bit of a celebration. Literally, like, all the devices there were the Razr Pluses, and there was like one regular Razr sitting on the table. But the answer to that is Moto's approach to the external display is to basically give us full functionality of the phone. And that's what the Plus is giving us. That's where I feel like even in the Z Flip 5, I'm pretty sure, even if Samsung does go full screen on the back, and I'm pretty sure they will, they're not going to let you run every app you want on the display. They're going to control how that experience is going to be, and you're going to have a handful of functional apps and maybe a handful of widgets. Moto said just do whatever you want. You want to shoot 4K 60 on the external display when you're walking around, go for it. You want to shoot one by one video out of it, you want to take pictures, go for it. They have a photo booth function where you're able to basically set it down and just start taking multiple shots and stuff like that. Go for it. The horizon lock, all those little features they put in. And I feel like that's why I'm excited about that. And it runs very smooth. I'm surprised how Moto can do Android 13 with 8 gigs of RAM without any stuttering. Like, the UI is very buttery smooth. It's really nice.
I feel like there are companies that handle this well, and there are companies that I feel more inefficiently lean on having more RAM. But like from my Moto Edge Plus, it's only got 8 gigs of RAM and handles not only Android.
I saw
Android
so
12.
many of the 2022 edition, by the way. I saw the white one, and I saw the bluish color one. None of them had the case with it, but it was exciting to see. Like, obviously, at a Moto event, people walking around with Motos, you know what I mean? Like, and not just all the sea of iPhones.
Yeah, my SIM card is back in the 2022 because Marie has my Xperia 1 Mark IV right now to take that for a test drive.
Good.
And
good job, Marie. Marie, if you're listening,
really
just don't give it
good
back.
Phone. Well, no. She's very she's pretty set. She doesn't like how big the Xperia 1 Mark V is.
Yeah, no, of course.
But,
I think the 5, as you
using
said,
it, she's even more excited about a potential Xperia 5 Mark V.
Yeah.
So that to her is now like, that's going to be the through line. And hopefully I can get my 1 Mark IV back when she gets her 5 Mark V.
You're
But
gonna be
I don't want to
crying
get,
it. Yeah.
yeah,
I know.
I
But let's not turn it
because it's
into an
also going to
Xperia. I saw
get
quite a few
late for you
Xperia
here
1 Mark
too.
Fives. Our friends are getting their round of
Yep.
testing it. So yeah, I saw some Sony at a Moto event. I'll say that much. Yeah, it
I
was
mean,
fun.
again, it's a phone to. I mean, I've got a. Sorry, I'll tease it right now. It's already live on the Patreon. I don't know if it's going to go live tomorrow, but I guess I'm going to be doing like a yearly thermal throttle test because I did it last year with a bunch of phone cameras, and I'm doing it again this year. So that video is already available on the Patreon. But it's the Xperia 1 Mark IV, Xperia 1 Mark V, Xiaomi 12S Ultra, Xiaomi 13 Ultra, the Vivo
Nice.
X90 Pro, and a
The
Pixel
kitchen
7
sink.
Pro.
Oh,
So I've
well,
got
okay.
an 8 Gen 1, an 8 Plus Gen 1, a Dimensity 9200, an 8 Gen 2, and a Tensor 2,
And a
all
Tensor
walk
2.
into a bar, and the bartender says, "Hey, why the long
Full
face?"
face.
And then you're like,
Exactly.
"Oh, no, that's a horse joke." See
Yeah,
how
no, no.
that's it's like good YouTubing right there. But
That's the quality, man. That's the level we do. I walked out of a party because I didn't really enjoy the music as much as I thought I was going to enjoy.
oh
I told
no.
everybody, I said I wish it was a trance, club type of style. But I'll say the overall the overall sentiment of everybody that I've seen is excitement for what Moto is doing. We
Yeah.
have final competition. I mean, this is something that I've been wanting to see since TCL teased us with Chicago a few years back. You know what I mean? Like they showed us the capabilities of what they can do. Now, Moto did depart from the iconic Razr look, and that was primarily to be able to fit the larger display and to keep the body symmetrical. But they kept some of the essence of what Moto, the twist, the double twist, the shake to be able to
Yeah.
turn on the camera, and I think through and through, like, and I think you've said it many times. I love the fact that they just let you do what you want to do. They just like have at it. The choice of SoC that we got here is also, I feel like, the right combination. They went A plus Gen 1 and they went 7 Gen 1 on between the Plus and the standard model. The standard model is actually pretty exciting for most of us because if the Plus is $1,000,
Hmm.
the standard is going to be substantially lower. The display is
Yeah.
way smaller. The battery is actually bigger because you're not having to put that big of a display on it, and you're running with a 7 Gen 1, which means your battery life is going to be crazy. So you really have to kind of look and appreciate what they're doing, and then
Do do
internally,
do we know, is it the 7 Gen or is it the 7 Plus
it's the 7 Gen.
Gen?
It's both of them are using, for the lack of a better word, 2022 SoCs. So 8
Okay.
Plus Gen 1 on the high end,
So
and
not
7 Gen 1.
quite as exciting as, because
Is
that 7 Plus Gen 2 is an extremely disruptive
Dude, the 7 Plus
SoC for
Gen
the
2
mid-ranger.
it's literally like an 8 Gen 1 on a budget. Like
Well,
seriously, it's a
but
baller.
but just so much better again without the Samsung problems.
Oh no, no,
It's
no,
an 8
absolutely. Yeah, yeah,
Gen
I'm
1
sorry. Yeah, yeah.
with all of the power
Yeah,
management.
exactly.
Yeah.
TSMC. I think so. I'll be honest, and I did actually pose that question. I even asked both Motorola and I asked Qualcomm. Qualcomm's approach to it was primarily just obviously methodical in the sense of development, product cycles.
Yeah.
They probably were developing this back when the 7 Gen 1 was around, and that's why they chose to go with that SoC. Not
Sure.
necessarily that they wouldn't have it. And I feel like maybe to a certain point that's possible. Motorola's approach, in many way of saying it, essentially is it pretty much comes down to price.
Yeah.
They're trying to bring down the price. We know that the hinge is the most expensive piece in here. Next to
Mhm.
that would be the display. It's
Because
144 hertz.
the original Moto Razr launched with the Snapdragon 765, right?
That's what
It
it
was
is.
kind
Yeah,
of
it
like
was a 7 series
yeah.
processor, and a lot of people gave it flack. It wasn't even a 1080p display at the time. It was like a 720 something. The aspect ratio was funky. So a lot of people gave them flack. Now they did it proper. It's a 1080p 144 hertz display. Again, faster than some of the other options on the market. Flip, flip, flip. And it is combined with a larger battery, a good, decent SoC. The 7 Gen 1 is no slouch. It's a 7 series. It's a proper follow-up to the 788. But the 7 Plus Gen 2 is it's almost like it's in a different house. So
Yeah.
what we know now, the Razr Plus will be available very soon. The color that we're seeing on the display right now is the magenta color. This is going to be a T-Mobile exclusive, if I understand it correctly. It's also with on Motorola's website, and it'll be the vegan leather option. The other two
Yeah,
colors, the
Michael.
black and blue. Sorry.
Michael Peppertech was saying that T-Mobile's already done their own unboxing video for.
I ran into
Magenta.
Des. I ran into Des from T-Mobile at the
that's great.
party.
He's such a nice guy.
Absolutely, absolutely. We were talking, we were chit-chatting, and like I bugged him because I actually posted a picture of him playing with his Razr, but he didn't bring the magenta one. He was like, "Oh man, I was supposed to switch my SIM. La la la, didn't happen." So he's walking around with the black color one. Yeah, T-Mobile definitely is the right. I feel like it's the company that you want to buy. You want to experiment. You want to get the technology, the latest bleeding edge.
Yeah.
They always do it right. And Dez is literally one of the best people. So yeah, I saw him, got a chance to hang out with him for like a few minutes. We talked obviously tech as you'd expect, and I snapped a picture of him holding his phone. So I wanted to kind of like share some of his wisdom there. So but it's nice. It's light. There was no accessories like first-hand accessories that I got a chance to see. But like I said, like, the biggest thing that I saw that I was really happy about, we have a Ready 4. It's not wired, it's wireless, so there is no video out on the USB-C. But you know what? Samsung's never given us anything close to that as far as DeX when it comes
On
to
the Flip, yeah.
yeah, on the Flip has always been treated as the social influencer. They're non-techie. Moto's like, no, let me show you how to do it. So yeah, this was the exciting part. The wireless Ready 4 was the big thing for me, especially since we have the next stock. We can do wireless on that, and it becomes a laptop. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
It's interesting because we keep getting these little baby steps where, oh, I've got an option where this is going to work, or oh, I could do this. And like I know because you've done some work with the brand too, but and Reel has just shifted to X Reel, and today they launched their little wireless adapter thing, so that you can use
Officially.
the X Reel AR glasses wirelessly. Or you can use it through a different kind of like battery powered interface for other devices that don't properly power out through HDMI or whatever. And it's like, again, we keep having to play those games. Like,
Yeah.
it's kind of silly we need a product like that. Or it's kind of silly, like, I need a special laptop dock that does Miracast wireless signal just so I can connect my phone to a screen. But, I mean, at least we do have the option. But to me, it's always kind of crazy, like, our phones should be able to just do this. We
I
shouldn't
feel like
need to jump through
when we
hoops
call a
to do
device, okay,
this.
so my thing is the word, whenever you slap the label flagship, the term flagship should embody the best that you're able to offer. It's not the best with a special tailored experience because that's what you're able to hit. I feel like there is still some like, I mean, seriously, even the N2, even the N2 Flip from Oppo doesn't have video out.
Yeah.
It's something that's purposely designed. They're looking at it and they're like, look, people that want to use this are not going to be really looking to plug it into anything else. The wireless functionality, I feel like, is the right thing. I don't have a way of, I could not verify how much of the Ready 4 functions were available because they didn't comment on if it's full Ready 4 or is it just, you know what I mean? Like we've seen different, I want to say tiers of Ready 4
and
before.
Ready 4 just got another major update on the Google Play Store. So they added a lot of PC side functionality too.
I got an update. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
I just got an update yesterday to month. Oh man, 64 update. Dang man, I gotta update my stuff sooner. Okay.
You gotta keep up, man. You're starting to slip.
Well, I mean, so I got a system update yesterday from Moto. They did push one up for the Moto Edge. It it's been fun using the Edge. It's been fun walking around and seeing the capabilities. Actually, surprisingly low light performance on the Edge Plus 2023 is actually a lot better than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
We were in very much a Cirque du Soleil type of an experience where everyone was basically, beaming lights, very fluorescent in colors, coming at you from different direction. And it actually did pretty decent. I posted a quick pan shot of the event as we were starting at the beginning, like around 6:30 or so. It's exciting. It's nice. It's going to be available in carriers. I think the price point is compelling. I think the fact that we will have at some point, and they did say it is coming to the US, the more affordable version of it is something that essentially, because as a company, Motorola is able to back the functions, right? If something happens, warranty, service, whatever, they have the architect, they have the infrastructure to be able to support it, and that's what's going to make things more affordable for us in the next year. So this is really kind of a weird way of saying this. I'm excited about what we're getting now, but I'm excited for what this is going to do next year. or the year after
Well,
that.
and also I think this is tricky territory for Qualcomm because we went through 2 years, or like really a year and a half, of some extremely high performance but very finicky and difficult to tame SoCs at the high end. We went from the
Yeah.
888, which made me a little anxious, and then we went crazy with the 8 Gen 1, and really not as consistent a performer.
Yeah.
But everything following, once we went back to TSMC, once we dumped all those terrible Samsung fabbed chips, I feel like Qualcomm is going to have a difficult time convincing partners that they always need to be on the bleeding edge of their foundry, of their chip design. Because an 8 Plus Gen 1 is a monster performer, which is ludicrous overkill for the way that we sell phones.
Yeah.
You can look at your apps and play a couple games like Genshin Impact, and you can take a photo and shoot some video and share some video. Isn't that neat? We've been able to do that really well without any serious issues since the Snapdragon 855.
Are you sure though? Are you sure that is the 765 even able to boot Android at this point? I mean, come on.
You just said 765 and I kind of threw up in my mouth a little bit. So,
That's exactly how I feel like, man. We need to kind of keep it up, man.
but
Twitter needs a lot of resources. You know what I mean? And Instagram, oh my God.
Well, just trying to digitally
pics are not
contain
gonna load
Elon
themselves.
Musk's ego
Yeah,
requires
yeah.
so much more processing power than
You need
phones,
8 gigs
than
of RAM
phones
for
used to
Elon
have.
and like 4 gigs for the rest of the UI.
Just for his tweets alone.
Yeah.
But this is I think the Razr Plus is demonstrating something that I think is going to be a more difficult conversation moving forward.
Yeah.
Techies talk about average consumers as being knuckle-draggingly, mouth-breathingly illiterate people. I mean, it is the lowest tier of expected use, the way that we review phones. And you have not needed anything more than a Snapdragon 625 to cover that level of use. I mean, I can pull the original Huawei Nova out of my bookshelf right now, and it shoots for good 4K video. It's got a great camera on it. It gets excellent battery life. That phone could still handle daily driver average consumer use today.
Yeah. No, I'm with you.
So the Razr Plus, I think, is this interesting conversation in we're trying not to raise the prices too high. The 8 Plus Gen 1 delivers a stunning level of performance that is grotesque overkill for what that phone's battery is going to be able to accomplish.
So that's
I think we're going to see. Oh, sorry. Let me just say. I think we're going to see more and more players looking at Qualcomm's last year offerings. When the 8 Gen 3 comes out, I bet you there's going to be a ZTE, a Motorola, some of these other players in the space that are like, well, now I can get my hands on that 8 Gen 2. And I think it's going to be a purposely built market that staggers from year to year.
Yeah, no, and literally, it was exactly the words I was talking to the Qualcomm PR team. I was excited to see the fact that the Snapdragon chip, or the Snapdragon as an SoC, is represented even in current years in many different flavors. I told them how basically I was really happy to see how long the 870 was surviving, because so many companies were still using it like a year after it was even supposedly coming out.
Phones were still launching last year with the 870.
Yeah, no, exactly. The 865 plus has had so many pluses, it's like iconic at this point. It's almost like the HTC HD2, the phone that never dies. And the exciting part that I see here is, for us, this is, okay, so I'll say this. For us, this is super exciting because we understand what we're getting. We understand the mechanics. We understand the differences between an 8 Gen 1 or an 8 Plus Gen 1. And then the fact that the 8 Gen 2 to an 8 Plus Gen 1 are so close, you wouldn't notice it. You would not, seriously, the performance difference between those two is so small in retrospect by comparison to, let's say, earlier generations, that I feel like they did the right move. The 7 Gen 1 for the mid-range version of it, or the low, I'm not going to say the lower, the mid-range. I mean, essentially, it's the mid-range version of the Razr, is also a tactical approach to provide you a mid-range experience. It's going to be closer, a little bit more improved over what we've seen before. but it's very much a sister companion conversation internally. The software, the UI, same 8 gigs of RAM. Everything runs the same. You're not going to get a crimped, like a watered down experience software wise. It doesn't hit 165, but I don't think anything runs at 165 anyways. Realistically, maybe 120 at the most in most decent games. So at the end, the Razr Plus does gain the external display, but it's at the price of a battery bump. We have a 3800 milliampere as opposed to a 4300 milliampere on the smaller version. So think of it of how for content consumption, the base model is definitely looking really, really, really appealing to me for content consumption alone. Even if you open the display all the time, you're still going to save on the battery and it'll last you even longer. That's really we don't get that. Samsung's not going to release 2 flips. They're going to release a fold and a flip, and it'll be literally one that's going to be around 1,000 or whatever, if they decide to stay at the same price.
Yeah, and I feel like it's another part of the conversation that techies have been really bad about, because whenever a product fails, you can find it on a fire sale. So the original Moto Razr, that got some significant price cuts. The LG Wing, that got some significant price cuts. But the second you add a hinge, you should expect that that's going to be $1,000 plus device.
Yeah.
And so you know people are going to panic. Oh, it's $1,000 and it only had the Snapdragon 765, and that's not good enough. And I'm angry every single time. And we saw it again with the Pixel Fold. People saying like, oh, well, if Google can sell this for like $1,200, then it would be worth it for the monies. But that was never going to happen because a hinge is stupid expensive to manufacture into a phone.
Even to this day, it's literally when I look at a device like this, I know the most expensive piece in it. It's like right away. The materials they chose were pretty good. I feel like they went with the right decision. I love the display that it is literally, you can conform it to be either right above the camera module, so it becomes more of a rectangle, or you can make it just fit the entire back of the phone. Widgets, applications, all of the things that you normally expect there are there. Stereo speakers with Dolby, and you're getting really good 4K 60 on the front and the main primary sensors, and you're able to shoot in said 4K 60 on the external display, which surprisingly is something that I to this day we still don't even have on the Find N2 Flip, which I think Oppo said that they're working on, because it's supposed to be the camera that gives you the best experience. And I feel like 1080p, I understand maybe the most shared online, TikTok and Reels and stuff, but people love producing or recording higher quality audio and video and producing it down. Like I discovered today a function in DaVinci that I didn't even know existed, voice focus. When I was editing my audio from the clips that I got from it, it's crazy. It's not just good, it's crazy. If you listen to my video, the one that I did for both the regular and the Plus, that audio was recorded on the mics from that, and there was so much noise behind us because it was open windows and we had a lot of like city noises and stuff. It took all of that out. It looked like I was basically running a boom mic and I was standing there and moving with a crew the whole time. It was just crazy. It was fun.
It's surprisingly good.
It's crazy good.
Crazy
good. Yes. Sorry. I'm running on a high, man. I'm running on a high. Yesterday and today have been like crazy.
I totally believe it.
Yeah.
Again, it's the thing that we've been talking about. Like, I don't think anyone's under any illusion that a company like Motorola that really doesn't do much. I mean, it's kind of garbage marketing for North America. They are not out there.
They used to
really trying to reach
back in the Droid and all of that back in the day. With Verizon used to also advertise for them as well. But yeah, it's been some time.
But we're under no illusion that a phone like this Moto Razr in one phone generation is now going to be one of the top-selling flip phones, and now Samsung's on notice. But if you want your Galaxy Z Flip to get better and start including more features... Oh, there's your photo of Dex. Hold on. Des. I said Dex. Hold on. He's such a nerd. I love it.
I know. And then we were like, and then of course, I have to kind of like...
I need everyone to lovingly hit Des on his Twitter handle and say, hey, what up, buddy? Where's
absolutely.
your magenta?
Exactly.
Where's your magenta Moto Razr?
And then if you guys if you're familiar with Kim Petras, if you're familiar with the artist, she was also at the launch event. So there was a little bit of a like a DJing kind of event kind of going on there.
Oh, nice.
Oops, sorry, I know I'm like showing pictures on. So, and this was all, by the way, all my pictures that I'm sharing today are shot on a Moto. They're shot on the Edge Plus 2023. So serious, like really
Oh
good,
yeah.
like the color balance, the color in there, and then in Dez's picture, you get that little reflection of the building on the other side,
Mm-hmm.
because the reflect. And this was the black one, so he had that. This is the one he was holding, the black one. And I told him, "Where's your magenta, man? You're T-Mobile, right?" He's like, "Yeah."
Yep.
So he's cool, man. No, he's
I
cool.
need everyone to
It was
go
a
there
fun
and say,
night.
"Hey, Juan and TK were wondering where is your magenta Moto Razr? Love,
Yeah,
Michael
and
Peppertech.
I love Michael Peppertech. Yes. No, 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 absolutely.
Love Barry
It
Johnson."
was it was a lot of cool things, and like I said, for me, I've been I'll be on. I mean, I can say it now that I mean we heard about this obviously since my trip to Chicago not that long ago.
Hmm.
No hard, we didn't get a chance to see anything. It was just basically a two slides at the end of the entire presentation when we were talking, and it was nice. It was nice to see, and not nice to see that it actually not only materialized. It's going to be available for us very soon. Like hardware wise, you'll be able to pick it
Yeah.
up not that long. Europe maybe sooner, so in case somebody wants to import one and be able to do a review without having any kind of requirement, um, yeah. And I just realized my my battery died because I didn't charge it.
Oh
Because that's
no!
how we do it.
We just watched True Lies again, and there's that whole battery assis moment. Oh gee.
Yeah, no, I know it is
Well, I mean,
it's
also
legit dead.
like we should probably make this week's show a little shorter anyway, just because like you're out on a different time zone, and I don't want to keep you too late from all of the excitement and stuff. But it really
Yeah.
is it really is exciting that we're still getting some competitive options. We're still getting features. We're still getting this kind of I think spec for spec competition, and the pricing is always pretty interesting to me to see where Moto tries to play in a similar sandbox, but sort of undercutting Apple and Samsung for a lot of similar hardware. So I think this is going to be a good position for Motorola. I do hope we'll see just a bit more proactive conversations from the Motorola team about things like longer. I don't even really care about operating system updates, but just sort of more engaged with security patches and bug fixes and that kind of thing. I feel like there's a conversation that Motorola could be leading, especially for how they update a lot of their core services in apps through Google Play as opposed to OTAs. And instead, it just looks
Yeah.
like they're ignoring their customers, but they're actually doing a better job than a lot of people understand. So
Yeah, and I want to say, if I remember correctly, 4 years of software and three OS updates, but I
three
don't want
OS
to be
updates
quoted on that yet. Yeah,
and
and
I feel
four
like that
four
was
software.
from also the 40, the regular slab Moto 40, Moto Edge 40, whatever they're calling it now. That seems to be their track record. I feel where Motorola runs into trouble is you might only get a bi-monthly or a quarterly OTA, and everyone acts like, oh, my phone's not getting supported, except for all of the app updates that I'm ignoring that are directly updating parts of the phone. Like when I got a massive update this week on my 2022 Moto Edge for Ready
Yeah.
For, I didn't get that in an OTA. I didn't have to wait for a monthly or a bi-monthly OTA to get that update. There was something ready for Ready For. Motorola pushed it out to my phone. My phone got updated. I didn't even have to reboot. You know, like
No.
that to me is a
Also,
part of the
I will say
conversation
that
where I feel
Motorola software
they're slipping.
updates. In software, Motorola software updates, their system runs much faster than what we typically get with like a Pixel. I feel like Pixel's like every time it gets a software update, it's like a 20 to 30 minute, if not more,
Oh,
for
Pixels
the
are the
install. Even
worst.
just this software.
Yeah.
Yeah, like forever. But I
Yeah,
mean,
Pixels
I
take the
realize
longest
how
when
they
they do
update, but it
that
just
that update partition, but whatever they do to verify their updates takes insanely long to go app by app by app. So
yeah.
that's definitely a pain point on Pixels.
It is, like I said, it's for me it's just a refreshing part having a third party player. I mean, we've had OnePlus, we've had Pixel, we have Samsung obviously and Apple. And that's pretty much rounding up all the players. And Moto has been basically jumping back into it. We have what, like 4 devices. They just also, there was information that just kind of came out about the Stylus 5G. They updated the Stylus 5G as well to 2023. So we have an update for almost their entire lineup already. With the only thing that's missing realistically is we just don't know when the standard Razr is coming out.
Yeah.
And I hope it's not too long, because if they are using just the 7 Gen 1, we don't want to wait till, Qualcomm announces, again, I'm not saying that they're going to wait till all the way till November or December. I'm just saying potentially, waiting long enough that it may end up being where there'll be 2 generations and people may start
Yeah.
questioning it. I think it's our job to help educate, but it's also going to be where you go into the
Or
store and you got to get that sales rep not saying, well, this is just
if
2-year-old processor.
if Motorola is able to come in with something really price disruptive, and this is our first, excuse me, if this is our first foldable screen of any kind that is
Yeah.
within spitting distance of like a Pixel 7a, I don't think
Sorry.
it's gonna be that.
Oh,
But
there. Yeah.
but let's say they give us something that's good mid-ranger fare. It's like nothing phone one territory performance, and the premium for adding the hinge is not disastrous. Like,
That's what
then
I'm hoping.
it
I'm
matters
really
a little
hoping
less if it's 2 generations behind on that chip, but it's a difficult conversation. And again, it's a difficult conversation for Motorola to get ahead of, because everyone will always pan a non-Samsung or a non-Apple device if you look at the price and then you cherry pick one thing that's better on a Sam Apple. For $1,000, it should have the bestest processor, just like my Galaxy, except it's a folding phone. It's a completely different conversation. This is not an oranges to oranges comparison. Oh, my Samsung has a better camera, and you're like, that's a different conversation. You're purposely looking at one data point and one price tier and saying that there's only one way to grade this phone so that you can make your brand the winner. This is why I always feel like this was the death of LG. This is the difficulty of Motorola. This is the troubling aspect of other smaller companies like TCL and Sony, is there's a conversation vacuum around their products.
Yeah.
And that vacuum is going to get filled by people who don't like your products.
It's the ones that like that complain, or the ones that are leaving those comments. No, I'm with you. I'm with you. And I mean, a big part of where Motorola is right now is because LG is also not playing in the game. Because LG, once LG left, Moto swept up a lot of that market share.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of it that that could have been TCL. I mean, TCL did a decent. They're doing really, they do pretty well. But we can see that TCL's focus is in the U.S. market primarily. Moto is trying to throw everything at it. The Stylo got replaced with a G stylus, and then we have 2 versions of it, a 4G and a 5G. We have the Edge Plus 2023, substantially. I still feel like the Edge Plus 2023, even though it lost the pen, which was a big for me, like oh my god, why? But then they chopped off $100 on the price. It's uncommon to see a company release a newer version and try to actually, if they had to take one thing that maybe was an optional accessory in the past, now it still feels like a new improved
I
experience.
mean, it was
feel like it's
incorrect
the right
because I
one.
really like the stylus on my Moto Edge, but
Yeah.
I get it. It's fine. We got one. We got a wild Josh Vergara in the chat. Right
Josh
now.
Vergara, who's that guy?
It's like, will the Razr
Who's
Plus
that guy?
be
Was I hanging out with him for the last couple of days?
sharper
Yeah.
than ever?
The question would
it's a
be is,
Razr?
will it chop onions?
Oh, what? Whoa! Who did that? What was that from? Who was taking? Oh, the edge on this phone is so sharp and it hurts my hand, and I can even use it to cut onions. Oh, I remember that. Who was that? Oh, that's gonna bug
It's
me.
one of those things. It's one of those things I will say that the design changes that they went through were specifically and methodical. They think they did the right movement. They gave us the bigger display. They still give us a reasonable battery. I mean, 3800 is not the smallest, but when you think about what you're getting there with the processing power that you have in there, this is going to be even more compelling why the external display being a larger display makes it more functional. Like you said, that pocket watch experience You don't
Yeah.
have to open up the phone to do whatever you need. If you just want to do a quick reply for, WhatsApp, your messaging, your Telegram, whatever you need, you do it from there. You want to use voice, do it from there. You want to record video, do it from there. You want to be able to open up maps, do it from there. I didn't get a chance to play games, but I wanted to test it out. I literally wanted to play PUBG on it just to see, can I play a match and can I win? Just to kind of say, will it play Crisis? I don't know.
It still
I
freaks
need
me
to
out
test
the
that.
way that I play like twin stick shooters. Plastic screens make me so nervous because I am like digging my thumbs into those displays.
Yeah,
on
yeah.
a
It
lot of my
gets, when
action
you're getting
titles.
competitive. Yeah. No, and you're like pounding it. You want to make sure you're not leaving a lasting impression on that display. Yeah, I know.
Because
I'm with you.
I
I'm with you.
feel, I mean, I know you're traveling, you're out on location. This is like big news, Motorola. This is really exciting stuff. But I feel like we've buried the most important story of the week, which is that one of the all-time best action combat games on Android has had a very troubled and checkered relationship with, I've got the sound up too, has had a very troubled relationship with Android updates. And every major Android operating system update breaks this game, and the developers disappear for like a year and a half, and then they'll come back and update this game to get it fixed right before the next version of Android comes out that's going to break the game again. I am, of course, talking about Implosion, Never Lose Hope. This is one of the all-time best Android action titles that's ever been released for a phone. I mean, the graphics are still like top tier for a mobile game today, and it's not like a bunch of heavy microtransactions, but it just got updated again to finally fix compatibility with Android 13. So now would be your time to play this game if you ever wanted to jump on Implosion. So this is a really big deal. It's probably the most important tech story that we could come up with this week. But Implosion, Never Lose Hope. It's working again. I can like move the little guy around. And you can hack and slash and kill all those alien mutant guys. And it's pretty great.
I got to finish up my update on the on that controller, that gaming controller. I have it, and I haven't had a chance to put
the
a
game,
video
sir?
out on it. I need, yeah. I feel bad because I've had it since like almost CES. I got it like in February or something. Oh no. I got it like, I think it was like March, like early March. But I need to put some time into it. But yeah, I'm glad
real
glad
good.
the update came through. Yeah.
Yeah.
The fan is really nice.
I was on All About
the pass-through is
Android.
really good.
I was on All About Android years ago when they were still doing the App Arena, and that I pitched that game, and that game won my App Arena for the week. It's genuinely pretty great. I was on All About Android again this week, but they don't do the App Arena anymore, so I couldn't. I couldn't.
I saw
pitch
you.
it.
No. I saw your tweet about that. It was. It's always nice to be able to see the folks over there, and it's one of those things you have to kind of really appreciate the team over there, the continuation, the dedication that they've had, and they're all like super cool, super chill people. I love that I had the opportunity to be on the show. Like, it's been a couple of years now, actually. The year, oh no, wait, 2020.
No,
Yeah,
it's just
it's been a
last year.
while.
I mean, it's been a little while.
No,
I'm not
was it
saying
last year or was
but
it
it
the year
hasn't
before?
been years. You've been on more
wanna say
recently
it was
than that.
I want to say I saw them as Showstoppers, and I was still with XDA at the time, and I think it's been that long. Yeah, I had so remember there was a couple of times that you and I were talking about maybe you weren't going to be able to make it, and then you were able to make the show. So I never got on, but we talked about it.
Oh, that's a bummer.
So close, but no cigar. You know how we do.
Yeah, I mean that was kind of interesting because the show was talking. We covered the Mobvoi, so we talked about the
Yes.
TicWatch. But
Yeah,
we
yeah,
were
yeah.
talking with Jason and Ron about TicWatch, and then Jason finally got his hands on the OnePlus Pad. So it's been interesting to see the OnePlus tablet start making it into more people's hands.
I'm excited that for sure.
After we got it,
The,
and then like now we're a month into actual like software updates and stuff. So it's kind of interesting to see that strategy play out too.
It's really, I'm very happy that the community and that the reviews are coming in and they're able to see the benefit, the true benefit of what the OnePlus Pad is doing and what it's able to do with a MediaTek processor in this
Yeah.
space, and how the price is reflecting, not necessarily the price reflects how you think the performance is going to be. It's actually pretty
it's just
legit.
a shame
One of
that
the
it's
better ones.
got that LCD, and I didn't know that they were making screens that bad still. So it would be worth it if it had a good screen, but it doesn't, so it can't be worth it. I mean, my
Well,
personal
you know,
preference is
Juan,
OLED, so it's obviously that the one.
they needed an
It's
Achilles
that
heel, and I
OnePlus
think the display,
wanted
that's what
to
it
make
was.
a bad product. See,
Yeah.
that's how why didn't they just make a good product? If they wanted to make a good product, they would have made a good product, but they made a bad product. So, Mr. OnePlus, you get your act together and you make a good product next time. Because, well, I'm not going to stand for these shenanigans.
I will walk over to the Mr. OnePlus, I think offices. I
Yes,
think they're
see
based
that
in
you
New York,
do.
if I'm not mistaken, and I will drop
Right,
that
out on the
message
East Coast.
personally.
Knock, knock, knock.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Deliver a
While
little
I'm still
letter,
here.
both hands in a bowing action. Here you go.
Yeah, I walk in, like I knock on the OnePlus offices. It's like, hey, OLED, POLED, anything with an OLED in it. No,
Make it gooder next time. They'd be like, who's this guy?
make it. It's like
What?
what? No. The one. Well, I will say also, I did get a chance to play a little bit with a mini PC. Actually, that's something that you and I played before. But this is the first
Yeah.
time I actually got a chance to test out a Geekom type of a PC, like a
Oh,
Nook.
nice. That's right.
How
I
can
did
say
see your
Nook
video
clone?
on that. Hold on. I'm gonna pull
Yeah,
up
the
your video here so I
IT11.
can screen share it. Yeah.
It was a surprising little. I want to say a little beast, man. I mean, seriously, the specs on when you look
It's
at it on
good, right?
paper, it's really good. I mean, I'm not gonna make it sound like I'm cheesy, but dude, it runs Doom. It runs Doom Eternal
does.
on a solid 30 to 40 frames per second. I mean, it's obviously not gonna be like shattering into, but it runs Doom. It runs what's it called? Star Wars. It runs what was the other game I was playing? Oh, I played PUBG on it pretty decently. I almost won. I came in second. It just, to me, it's like that really very fun size, and I say that because it's literally very small, but built-in SSD, like sorry, an NVMe SSD, basically a terabyte system, 32 gigs of RAM, an option to upgrade to a 2.5-inch SSD, all the way in there. Low fan. I mean, it doesn't have fans, but it's basically almost quiet 90% of the time. Seriously, like it runs so nice and runs almost everything you connect it to. While we were traveling, while I have Josh in the show, we were trying to hook it up to the TV in the hotel room on the last trip we were here a couple of weeks ago, when we were here with RealMe, and I couldn't find an HDMI, but I actually traveled with it. I took that little thing because it's just a square,
Yeah.
right? And you just need the power cable for it and an HDMI, and then you literally just, and whatever Bluetooth and keyboard mount that you have. It's like you could plug it into anything, and it suddenly becomes your home PC with you. It's so nice. It's so much fun.
It's such a good clone of the little Nook form factor.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I've gotten to play with a bunch of them now. And
Yeah, I know. That's why I was like, I was really
they
excited. I
keep-
finally got a chance to. I'll say, like, I tried the Geekom. I was like, I'm finally part of the bandwagon. Like
It's
I'm
like
on
they,
the team.
they keep impressing, and so the IT11 is that the 11th gen Core i7?
Yeah. So
Or
there's
Core-
two, the
yeah.
i7 and the i5, and the i7 is the 11th gen. Yeah. They have a new IT12 that's coming out. That's already out, I think. The IT11's been out for about a year.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that I was able to get a chance to play with it. There has been minor tweaks to the original version that came out late last year, where Wi-Fi 6 is now built in, fully functional inside, where they didn't have
that's
that
good.
before. Yeah. So, and then for me, I was running it. I put it up on a Vizio, like a 55-inch Vizio in my bedroom, and it was just, I laid back and then just got to enjoy playing. You can play games, you can do whatever you want, like seriously. And it comes with its own VESA mount plate as well as the screws, so that you can mount it behind your TV if you need to. It's really nice. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really easy way to turn any monitor into like an iMac.
It's a solid, yes.
It's
Oh,
so good.
yeah, actually,
So-
you're right. Yeah. It does have that weird, it's suddenly like an all-in-one PC monitor kind of thing, yeah.
They just bolt it to the back of anything with a VESA mount. The one that I really want to check, I actually just sent them an email, and I'm hoping they'll follow up. Is they've just launched their line of AMD. So they partnered with ASUS with the AS series. So they've
Yes.
got the IT series, which is Intel tech. Now the AS series is a joint AMD, Asus, Geekom collaboration.
Yeah.
And so they've got a 6900, a Ryzen 6900 in one of their boxes. Like, I really need to play with that, because now we're moving well beyond just like productivity and office and doing document work, and I can watch a little video to, I want to say the, are you playing Prototype?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. So I installed Steam, and I bought Prototype and Prototype 2 on the Steam Deck.
Replaying Prototype 2 as right now.
Yeah, no, I know.
That's hilarious.
I ran. This is what I'm trying to
love
say.
it.
It was so exciting. I was so surprised on how. I mean, obviously, Prototype is an older title, but the fact that it
Yeah.
ran so smoothly, it ran very nicely. Again,
That's
Doom
amazing.
runs on
I
it.
love
PUBG ran on it. It just it's literally like the 32 gig. I felt like was the right sweet spot to do, because I think there's some some of the lower end models will start with like 16 gigs, but the proper 32, especially if you're going to render and do some content creation,
Sure.
you're able to run Premiere if you want to. I chose to use CapCut because I felt like for that experience of what it does, CapCut is very much straightforward, and it's a simple UI element, very easy, very quick to get in. And you know what? Surprisingly, the Iris XE did pretty well. 1080p,
Yeah.
60 frames per second video. I shot like it was a rough cut.
Yeah,
Obviously, I wasn't trying to do heavy.
Integrated graphics aren't as mockable as they used to be.
Yeah.
Because these little boxes are now roughly in the ballpark of like GTX 1050s, which
man.
is a considerable amount of performance, GPU performance, to add to your sort of compute projects like video rendering and stuff like that. So it's getting really good. It's beyond, because like I had one of their 8th gens, and it could just keep up with some indie games. Like if you wanted to play Dead Cells, totally fine. You'd have to tweak the graphics settings for like Tetris Effect, because it would get a little choppy, and you can't get choppy with Tetris.
No,
it's not graphically
misframe,
intense, but
yeah.
but you need the fluid frame rate.
Yeah.
Now, it is not it's not an extravagance to go 2 generations older on an Intel chipset, or last generation on an AMD chipset, and have well beyond emulation territory.
Yeah.
Like, you get these boxes and you think like, oh yeah, I'm gonna emulate like my favorite old classic 8 and 16-bit consoles. Like, great, yes, it can do that.
Yeah.
Sure. But like being able to really kind of dive into reasonably good 30 to 40 frame per second 1080p gaming for generation and 2 generation old AAA titles is perfectly performant. Like, that is above and beyond what we should expect from a tiny little box that like fits in the palm of your hand.
And you can go all the way even up to like 2 terabytes of storage and then load it up, man. If you want to just put in everything internally. For me, I love the fact that it had USB 4 and it supports USB 3.2. So I was running my my 4 terabyte SSD, my Extreme SanDisk one, and I rendered, I edited, I did everything off of it, and it's just super. The I/O on this is crazy good. And I love the fact that it also it has USB-A and USB-C, because you can kind of break in a couple of things. A built-in SD card, Kensington lock if you need to be able to put that in there. Seriously, a very compelling solution from, even if you want to use it like you said, just to convert any TV, or if you want to use this as your own personal desktop PC, it's actually very compelling in the price point that it comes, and it's upgradable. You can open it and you can swap out the RAM, swap out the drive, add more storage. It's the fun part, and it reminds me a little bit of I forgot the name of the other brand that we worked with before. Azul mini PCs, because they've done them as well. But this is serious. Like, we're talking i7 here. We're not talking like an i3 or
Celeron.
Celeron processor. No, we're talking fully fledged mobile laptop grade processor with the RAM and the storage. Just a different form factor, and it works. Yeah, and it works. And again,
an
really
11th
nice.
gen Core i7 that ain't nothing to sneeze at. So
No,
that was a really
PUBG
fun
right
one to
there.
take a look at. And now I'm gonna have to be extremely undignified and then just start harassing the heck out of them, because I really want to see what they can do with that AMD.
You and me both.
With
my
like
friend.
a 6900 HX like a monster mini PC box. So
Yeah, no, I know. It's a crazy little thing. But yeah, man, no, it's a lot of little things that kind of came up. So that was kind of like how I started my week. And then, of course, what I wanted to give you a really quick. So I've been here since I left Tuesday morning, and I know today is not exactly very, very late, but today is like Thursday afternoon, right? So if you remember back in the old days with our earlier generation of the Tick Watch, because we both have our Tick Watches and we're using them. I will say I haven't been doing any exercises while I'm here. I'm doing a lot of walking, so most of it is basically just tracking walking steps. I am still running with 48% battery, my friend. I will be back home tomorrow, and then I forgot the charger at home, and I was like, "Oh my God, this is not gonna. I can't have this happen. This is gonna be weird."
I believe
No,
what you
man,
meant to say.
total.
I believe what you meant was I purposely didn't pack my charger because I just didn't need to carry the ounces of weight of that extra cable, because the battery life is so sufficient on this watch.
Yeah, exactly what I was trying to say. Totally not what I said, which was
Nailed it.
Doofus forgot.
The
No,
mic
I
drop.
also, of all the things I forget, so that was one thing I forgot, and the other thing I forgot was my shaver. So I haven't shaved for like a couple of days. You
Oh,
can't tell, obviously, because it's like all under, but it's a little
sure.
bit scratchy under. And I was
I know
like,
that
felt-
trim feel. Like, oh, that's getting gross. I gotta fix that.
Yeah, like I just want to go get it. I just want to. I stopped. I saw so many barbershops on the way coming back from the venue, and I'm like, do I have enough time? Will Juan kill me if I'm like 5 or 10 minutes late because I show up and I'm like clean cut? I was like, nah, I'm not gonna take my chances with Juan. I'll do it when I get back to LA. I'll be back hopefully everything by tomorrow, roughly noonish. Um,
Nice.
but yeah, it's been a quick trip. Weather's been weird. Like it's nice here. We can see the sky. It looks like a proper, summer day.
Yeah, I think we're
But
supposed to be getting more rain next
LA
week.
is still not getting anything, huh?
No,
LA's
we
like we
went
don't want
into
sun.
hardcore. We went from hardcore May gray into hardcore June gloom. So
Yeah.
no, it's still been pretty gross. But again, I think next week we're even supposed to get a little scattered showers again, and it's all good.
Like
Oh,
where
Josh,
in the
you
name
know,
of okay.
you don't have to worry about the chat, man. It's lovely to have you in the room, and I have been reading.
Dude.
I'm taking notes on all of your tea recommendations in the chat. You guys chat tea.
I
We are here to hang out. We are here for that. So
No,
don't
dude,
worry
yeah,
about
no,
like being shy or feeling like you've got to be on topic with what we're talking about here. You guys are doing it. You guys are having a great conversation. You guys hang. It's
Dude,
great.
absolutely. Yeah, and I honestly, Josh, if the room wasn't a mess, I would have just asked him to come up. Because I was like, I think he's like a floor up or floor. We're all in the same place. He's hanging out, but we're all back at the hotel and trying to catch our breath from the last couple of days of just running. A lot of these things are really, really super quick turnaround. Like we get in, and the hands-on experience is literally like right there, and then you're just jumping in and going to the next thing, trying to finish off and doing a whole bunch of different things, and then you stay up late because there's a lot of meetings and stuff. So it's exciting to be hang out, and like I said, I keep saying this, but I really want to get Josh, Juan, and TK to go and do kind of events and hang out and kick it old school style. You know what I mean? And it'll be fun. I think it'll be fun.
Yeah, we've been due.
having
We've been
Josh
due
there.
just an in-face like, hey, let's hang out.
I see Josh more. I've seen more of Josh in New York than I've ever seen Josh in LA. Let's say that. That's the kind of like every time we hang out, Josh and I were always like at like some faraway places. We always take these excursions because LA is too small or too big, I guess. It is actually. It's kind of weird. Like, but you and I too. We need to kind of set up a proper in person. We haven't had one for a while. Um, tomorrow I'm dropping my first Fat Tire e-bike video. So that was exciting. Yes.
That's gonna be
Finally
good
finished
times.
that one. Oh man,
so much
yeah,
fun.
but like it's so much more comfortable and more of a cruise. It's like a chiller vibe riding it.
Yeah, it's like
Once
the
you get
difference
used to
between
the
sort of a European saddle sport motorcycle as opposed to an American chopper. Like,
yeah, no,
your entire
it's
center of
very
balance is different. Your maneuvering is a lot slower. You can't take turns as sharp, but then you've got this big, cushy ride that is so easy. It's just so chill, especially on all of the rough terrible roads and infrastructure around, suburbs in Los Angeles. I probably should stick to a road bike, but I can't give up my fat tire. It's just too comfy.
It's literally it's become my favorite ride, my favorite bike out of all the ones I've reviewed. And it took me a little bit of time to get this one together, but I love the fact that it's like it has its own little settings, but you're able to go all the way up to 28 miles an hour on this. Like it's legit speed with the motor that it has. Like you can pick up and go. That's the level of craziness. But it's easy, it's simple. It doesn't have there's no app control, so there's no external function. It's primarily all on bike. It's very much a
Yeah.
straightforward experience. But you'll get a chance to check it out tomorrow. It looks like a boss. It looks big. It's that just like the I don't know how to say, like it's all masculine. Let's say that
Yeah.
it speaks all men. Like I want to
It's,
go
it's
out
like
and go
the
for rides now.
I'd be bolting on little turbos on 4 cylinders in Albuquerque, and then there'd be that one friend be like, "There's no replacement for displacement," and it's sort of the bicycle version of that. It's like
Yeah,
I need a
yeah.
Hemi in my bicycle, and that's what
It,
it
it,
kind of
it
feels
does
like.
feel it seriously it's the most powerful one that I've ever tested so far, and I've been lucky enough that the last few times, like we both had a chance to play with the Thunder One.
Hmm.
I had an e-scoot bike that came in. I have another scooter video that I can't unfortunately release yet because it's not available, or the hardware isn't available at the store, so the company's holding it up a little bit too in another few days or so. But I've had the opportunity to play outdoors a little bit more this year, and I'm happy about that. It's fun.
Yeah,
It's
it's good
fun to go
times.
out and have fun with toys. Yeah.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. It's good times. So we should probably just start kind of bringing this in so that you can get a little downtime in the hotel. You can we don't have to run this out to a 2-hour stream. I'm just gonna plug Sony video out. I got an external monitor tour, so you could see all of the new
Yes, I saw
features
that
on
one.
the
It's good.
external monitor
Yeah,
mode.
yeah.
I did republish the Ulanzi video tripod, and YouTube killed it again. So F YouTube, and I'm not gonna play these stupid games with algorithm chasing or, oh, maybe I didn't make my
Yeah.
thumbnail wacky enough. So unfortunately, I mean, I reached out to the folks at Ulanzi and said, like, I can't even explain this. This is literally the worst performance I've ever had on a video since, like, coming back from Pocket Now and reviving my channel. I don't know what it is. YouTube
Hmm.
hates tripod competition. I feel YouTube is in the pocket of big tripod, and they won't let anyone else compete, and so they're wrecking the metrics on Ulanzi video tripod videos, and I feel like that's very upsetting. But the
I
cool thing is
Yeah.
I'm getting really close. So like I said, on the Patreon is my thermal camera showdown, just putting a whole bunch of phones up against each other, seeing which phones die first when you're just shooting continuous stretches of 4K video. And I might be able to put this up on the Patreon soon while I'm working. This is actually going to be a sponsored video, but the Robo and Kala. So the Windows 11
Oh, the Robo and
ARM.
Kala. Yeah, 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 yeah. You talked about
This
that
is
last week.
the Windows on ARM tablet. We talked about it a little last week. I think I'm gonna be able to do, even though it's a sponsored video. I think I'm gonna be able to do a preview of this maybe over the weekend for the Patreon. And just like the Surface Pro 9 SQ3, I am very impressed with what Microsoft is doing with this software. Robo and Kala,
Hmm.
it was started by a former Xiaomi product head, so it's built
Oh, wow. Okay.
really well. The DNA of this feels very sort of Surface meets Xiaomi in the sort of in the features and the accessories, and the entire bundle is still technically a sale. But I think Robo and Kala is going to be holding to this as the main price moving forward, where keyboard, stylus, tablet, and screen protector is going to be $1,100. So if you were to match all of the specs on a Surface Pro 9, that would be a
Hmm.
$2,100 tablet. And this is an $1,100 tablet. Now, I am no math genius, but if I'm doing the numbers right, that's roughly a difference of $1,000. So
I
that's pretty
It's
good.
amazing what you're able to do and what the combination is doing. And this one comes with, if I remember mistaken, you did mention is the hinge on the back actually very much close to what we got with the Surface Pro with the Surface laptop. So
Yeah.
it's nice to see
So
that they're able to put in that
there are the
something.
little differences where like there's one screen technology win for the Surface, but then a screen technology win for the Robo and Kala. The Surface Pro 9 obviously has all of the 5G connectivity. This one does not have built-in 5G radios. The Surface Pro 9 has a slightly larger battery, but the Robo and Kala has been getting better battery life. When you really
Well,
kind of
true,
try
yeah,
and
because
balance how that's supposed to perform. I mean, it's like neck and neck, where every feature sort of has a pro and con trade-off. There's not like a clear winner. Both of them have upgradable storage. So
yeah.
if 512 gig of built-in storage is too tight,
Was that the little port you were talking about last time?
you pop that little port right out the back of the tablet. You do need a suction cup tool. It's not a pin tool like on the Surface, so it's a little bit harder, but you can pop it right off, dump in a terabyte SSD, upgrade it directly. There's no other ARM-based tablet except for the Surface that you can upgrade the internal storage. So they are aggressively looking at pricing now. When the tablet plus the keyboard plus the pen plus a screen protector is $1,100, that's $600 cheaper than a similar package with an iPad Pro.
Yeah.
So, like, this fight is getting really good. I know, like, we're going to get real excited about the next Snapdragon laptop chip. It's going to have custom cores. It's going to be even more powerful. This right here is the beginning where I don't feel you're suffering compromises. Like, the benefits of ARM's power management outweigh some of the software compromises on Windows. It's running Linux software great. It's running Android software great. It's running Windows apps relatively well. It'll definitely lose a sprint against a Core i5, a new like 12th gen Core i5, but this thing has just been an absolute joy. So yeah, it's basically just completely taken over what little laptop duties I still have around the house. Like, I reach for this first above like my Surface or my Pixelbook, or even sometimes my Ready 4 docks. So
It's one of
I've
those
been really
things.
happy with it.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward. So you said you're going to be putting that. You're going to be putting it into the Patreon initially, and then hopefully.
So
really soon.
yeah. This is the main conversation we're having is really a look at Windows on ARM, and Robo and Kala are sponsoring the video to talk about Windows on ARM. But I've kind of shoehorned in an implied Surface Pro comparison. I don't like turning those videos into comparisons, but it is such a brutal feature for feature for feature fight between. I mean, it's obvious Robo and Kala is looking at one specific manufacturer to compete against. They're not competing against Apple, they're competing against Microsoft. The hardware is tactically built to go after a Surface Pro 9 SQ3.
Yeah.
So they're sponsoring me for one thing specifically, but I'm kind of using their video to talk about something else too. Yeah, so I'm gonna try and get that as a preview up over the weekend, and then hopefully we'll get the final approvals or whatever the client side needs to talk about the video and push that out sometime next week.
Okay, good. I like it. I think it's it's a good conversation to show other options. But as we always say, Microsoft always tries to do, like flagship or basically, the lead the way, and Qualcomm's doing the same.
Oh, yeah.
We both enjoyed our ATX, ATX
it's so good.
processing. It's really good. It's really good.
I mean, silly.
I hope
things
I do
too,
hope I do
like-
get a chance to check it out as well. So I'll hope maybe I may have to borrow it from you at some point if
Well,
if you're not using it.
We're gonna chat. We're gonna maybe have a conversation about that.
Will do,
But
will
the thing that gets really exciting is you can look at Windows on ARM and you can say things like, oh, but it's not going to be as high performance for gaming. And when you're talking about really graphics, like I wouldn't play Prototype on this. It struggles with Alien Isolation. That's a game that has been ported to our phones that runs great at 30 frames per second. It runs a little chuggy on this Robo and Kala. But then you pick up like some of these really good indie games. And like a game like Dead Cells is maxing out the refresh rate of the screen on this. And a game like Vampire Survivors never chugs compared to like my Steam Deck. Because you get to the end of a run in Vampire Survivors and the Steam Deck is crashing to like 5 frames per second. It's a slideshow if you really have all your weapons maxed out and you're getting swarms of enemies. It's like, I get it. I don't need to do anything because I'm completely untouchable. I'm basically invincible, but it doesn't look very good. And then you pick up this little Windows on ARM tablet and it's hanging in there. It's still giving me like 60 frames per second when everything is getting to that final end game. So it's just really funny how some of these things, like playing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge, kind of plays better on this tablet than on something mobile like a Steam Deck. Then you try and play like Tomb Raider and it plays like garbage. You're not getting 3D gaming out of this thing really to any great degree.
Yeah.
So the conversation needs that little bit of nuance. Like someone says, it's not good for gaming. That's not it. It really depends on what games you play. And if you play these kinds of indie games, this thing is a monster. If you play really graphics intense AAA titles, then yeah, that's going to be a pain point. And I feel like we keep losing the thread on that where, yeah, it doesn't run DaVinci Resolve. DaVinci Resolve can't see the GPU in the Qualcomm SoC, but it can run a whole bunch of video editors on Linux. It runs GIMP on Linux better than it can run GIMP on Windows. I got Audacity to work, so I had audio editing. Again, Linux is kind of saving Windows on ARM. Sorry, I'm basically just repeating my entire spiel right now. So
no,
it's just
for sure,
silly.
for sure. And for that, if you guys haven't had a chance to, make sure you check out the links. We'll put the links for you guys in the description to Juan Carlos's basically his Patreon if you'd like to check it out ahead of when it's available to the public. It's basically patreon.com/somegadgetguy. Very simple, very easy to find. Just look for the beautiful Juan Carlos Bagnell right there. But yeah, no, I mean, it's the week is coming to the end. We are at the beginning of June 1st. Welcome everybody to June. I can't believe we're in June. May, for some reason, for me, it kept like lingering. It's like it didn't want to end, and it finally finished. And yeah, I'm leaving sunny New York, and I'll be back to cloudy LA in the next 24 hours. For me, I think the e-bike review will be basically one of my last videos for this week, and I need to start basically kind of ramping up for next week, trying to figure out the content back home, work, and stuff like that. There's a lot of things kind of going on. Summer. And Omar's done with school. He just finished 7th grade, so it's like crazy.
Aw,
So yeah,
buddy.
it's we'll get a chance to spend some time this weekend and celebrate with him as well. So yeah, man, life goes, man. I
Right?
can't believe it. It's already middle of the year. Um, the main thing I will probably say is if you haven't had a chance to check it out, there'll be an audio version of the podcast coming up hopefully in the next day or so. Hopefully it sounds good. I do apologize in advance for if you guys are listening into the
You're
show.
sounding fine. It's gonna be
And
great.
if you don't forget, well, please don't forget, but definitely catch up with Juan Carlos on Monday. The SGGQA will be back. It was on a little bit of a vacation earlier this week for our holiday here in the U.S. And of course, everybody, thank you very much for hanging out with us. Thank you, at least for me, thank you to Motorola for allowing me to participate in this conversation, to be part of it. And to out of last month, literally, I've had a couple of opportunities to try great devices, and I hope I do get a chance to play with the Razer Edge, not the Razer Edge, the Razer Plus, or even the Razer in the near future. And I'll definitely be bringing that coverage for you guys. And if Josh is still in the chat, dude, thank you very much for all your help. He's been a great help. I was working all day today. He brought me
good
lunch, man.
dude.
He's absolutely one of the coolest guys. He was out to get lunch, and I was like, dude, I'm in back-to-back meetings and stuff, and he actually brought me a good, like, there's a really good falafel sandwich here, so it was like great. Came in the
Nice.
clutch. So yeah, with that being said, thank you very much. Hope you guys have a great rest of the day. Well, obviously for you guys if it's early, good Friday, and have a good rest of the weekend. We'll see you next week, back hopefully in studio or in person for another episode of the Best of Our Week. Juan, thank you very much for doing all of this stuff as well, for setting
this
up
is great.
everything, keeping us afloat and keeping me legit. But yeah,
No
take care.
worries.
Yeah,
Glad you could jump in, and we'll catch you all on the next one, folks.
absolutely.